even in the best of times, when confetti should have still been stuck to their clothing, one person who was then close to Rodgers remembers he would regularly call to vent that McCarthy didn't have a clue what he was doing. He would tell him that McCarthy frequently called the wrong play, that he used the wrong personnel, that they were running plays that worked 1 out of 50 times in practice, that McCarthy was a buffoon he was constantly bailing out. Mike has a low football IQ, and that used to always bother Aaron, a source said. He would say Mike has one of the lowest IQs, if not the lowest IQ, of any coach he's ever had. So explosive stuff in this Bleacher Report piece. Now, our NFL Nation Packers reporter, Rob Domofsky, tweeted that he had spoken with Mike McCarthy and that McCarthy said, quote, "I don't know where to start or where to stop. I've never missed a team meeting for a massage." That's absurd. And candidly, absurd seems like the right place to start. But then where do we go? So we bring the big swagoo Marcus Spears in on this. I don't know where to begin here, candidly. Where do you want to start with this conversation?
I'll open it up with this. There is a reoccurring theme in this conversation around Aaron Rodgers, right? Aaron Rodgers is toxic. If it wasn't for his talent level, we would probably have a different view and conversation about Aaron Rodgers. When former players come out and talk about a player, Greeny, you have to understand, and Avery, you can understand this as well. When you went to war with a guy, for you to come out and talk of him ill and speak negatively of him, he's done some things that you've seen that has created the ability for you to go out and express that. And then with Mike McCarthy, we can talk about the football side and all of that. We don't know what transpired. I've always known quarterbacks and offensive coordinators or head coaches to butt heads when it comes to calling plays. That's a part of the job title. But when it comes to Aaron talking about Mike McCarthy as a person, what he was doing during team meetings and having these type of conversations, and then you hear what Jennings talked about. You hear what Finley talked about, the former tight end, about Aaron Rodgers and his grasp on his team. Aaron Rodgers is toxic.
Yeah, and there's pieces in this. Again, it's almost impossible to summarize everything that's in the story. But the notion that Rodgers was freezing the coach out to the point that he wouldn't throw the ball to receivers who seemed too close to the coach. Like when you have that kind of delineation in power, vacuum in power between the two, how does the rest of the team manage that?
The rest of the team doesn't manage it because the rest of the team is not making $100 million. Greeny, there's a hierarchy in football that creates a situation where certain players can't say anything. What are you going to say if you play for the Cowboys about Tony Romo and Jason Witten? What are you going that won't be negatively criticized in the public forum? And that's what most players are afraid to say. That's why so many guys that have gone on have now had the freedom to talk about Aaron Rodgers. But you're not going to do that while you're in the Green Bay facility.
Well, let me ask you, Avery, quickly, because it feels like if we look at the coach and superstar relationship, there's this on one end, and there's Pop and Tim Duncan, which you experienced first up close and personal, all the way on the other end. Can you imagine a circumstance where you've got a coach and a star player who are this at odds?
No, I can. And when you have this is what happens. You have dysfunction. There's a disconnect. Whereas with a guy like Pop and Tim Duncan, there's a connectivity there. They both are competent. They're competitors. There's a circle of love and understanding and toleration. So even when things would go wrong, Pop could kick Tim Duncan out of practice, but then they would have dinner the same night together because they're all pulling in the same direction.
And by and large, G, you alienate every other player because now you're asking me to choose. Am I with Aaron because he's the guy that's going to give me a contract by giving me the ball, or am I with the head coach who's giving me the message?
When you read the piece, it's remarkable it stayed together as long as it did.